Good morning. This is the second in the session for holistic management of stress and PTSD disorders. Last week we discussed management of stress and did some experiential breathing techniques. Today we are going to expand on those experiential techniques more than the theory. The agenda for this morning is that we'll talk about what is PTSD, how does it affect the different layers of our existence, the layers which we discussed last time, the 5 layers of existence, and from the holistic point of view, what can we do to become part of the integrative approach to management of PTSD. As we know, and I will talk about that there are some medical approaches to PTSD which don't work as well if they are known with medication alone. It has to be with cognitive therapy and has to be with psychodrama. There are a lot of different techniques which have been publicized by psychologists, but they don't work. Only 20 to 30% people actually get cured of PTSD. So the agenda would be discuss about PTSD, what is it, how does it affect the 5 doshas, and then we'll talk about management, and I will just cover briefly the medical management, but then we'll go into the practices of yoga and the diet. So those are the 2 important things which we'll discuss today. In that experiential part of yoga, we'll be talking about alternate nostril breathing. We'll talk about yoga nidra, which is a guided meditation. It is an intention-based meditation. It's a passive meditation, and Michelle will do a practice for you on yoga nidra. So we have a lot to cover this morning, so let's go ahead and start with it. So what is PTSD? It's defined as post-traumatic stress disorder. Now when we talked of stress last week, that whenever we are in a situation of stress, we had one of the 2 things happen, fight or flight. We talked about sympathetic response, which is fight or flight. Our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate goes up, the hormones are secreted, the neurotransmitters are secreted. All that to cope with that requirement of the body to be in an acute arousal so that we can either fight or run away. That is the response to a stressful situation. Now there is one thing which we did not discuss last week, is the 3rd option. We can fight, we can flight, but 3rd option is freeze. Freeze is a newer concept in this trio of what can happen to us. And the freeze is when the trauma is so severe, so acute, and we have no option of fighting or flying away from there. We feel hopeless, fearful, intense fear, hopeless, helpless in that situation. We don't have the option of flying away from there or fighting it. We just freeze. That is almost like a deer in the headlights, frozen. They don't know what to do. They don't know whether fight or flight. They just freeze. So that phenomena where we freeze leads to post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the simplest definition I can give you. So the trauma is acute. So there is an acuteness to the trauma, that either it is a assault, it is in a war situation, rape situation, or we are in some kind of a acute situation where we feel helpless and we cannot fight, we just become frozen. So assault, rape, war, school shootings, the home invasions, when it becomes acutely stressful situation. There are many situations, domestic violence, all those, and now with the recognition of these particular violences which occur in the home environment, rape and assault, have been also linked to this phenomenon of post-traumatic stress disorder. So there is an acuteness, and then it is followed by the remembrance of the episode over and over again. So there's nightmares, there's a reenactment of the episode which led to the stress. And third is that it lasts longer than 30 days. So in any stressful situation, we all go through that phase, but it goes away after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, after 1 hour, 2 days. That is forgotten. Body has processed that stress and it is out. So remember the diagram I drew for you, that initially there is a elevation of all the hormones, neurotransmitters, and then slowly they all come back to normal. That is a complete resolution of what happened at the time of stress. But here, even though resolution has occurred somewhat, but it continues on a chronic basis. So we still have a lot of epinephrine, lot of norepinephrine, but the adrenals are eventually exhausted. So that leads to adrenal exhaustion and a lot of other problems. So what is happening here? Acute episode that leads to a chronic episode where these things are remembered, and how does it affect different layers of existence? What we talked about last time with the 5 layers of body, energy body, mind, intelligence, and the higher self. Those 5 things are affected in this particular episode. So let's talk about what happens to the body. Body, there is a excess secretion of adrenaline and noradrenaline. There is excess secretion of neurotransmitters, which settle down some, but then continue on a higher level than normal, which leads to a hyper state of arousal. Okay, that these people are very sensitive. If somebody touches them, they get hyper arousal because of their PTSD, because that trauma is still not completely processed in the body, in the mind, in the spirit. So that trauma leads to a loop, feedback loop, which anytime something similar to that episode occurs, they get into a state of hyperarousal and hyperreaction. And that is because of that hormone level, the neurotransmitters remain high. So they are in a hyperarousal state. eventually leading to an exhaustion at the level of adrenals and hormones, leading to lower immune system. So it will lead to a lot of autoimmune conditions are linked to PTSD, that they eventually lead to some kind of autoimmune disorder. Either it is joints or it is muscles or vascular system or some kind of a colitis. These are all autoimmune disorders can start with that PTSD. They also become more prone to accidents because of this hyperarousal state. They overreact to situations. So they could escalate a small argument into a big argument and lead into fights and into a place where they can shoot each other. You know, in this country especially, that is very important to realize that they are ticking time bombs, because anything which resembles to what happened before, very distant relationship, they will hyperreact to that situation. Okay? Who gets PTSD? We talked about the war. It was recognized in Civil War. It was called soldier's heart syndrome or something like that.
Wait, so they instead of
break their heart or something like that. In First World War, it was recognized a little more. Second World War, more. And Vietnam War was the first time when it was really recognized, when 1 million vets came back with PTSD. Now with the school shootings and domestic violence, rapes, the same syndrome is being recognized more and more. All children below the age of 14, 15, 100% of them will get PTSD if they are in a stressful situation. If they watch a lot of domestic violence at home, or if they watch a school shooting. Adults, only 25 to 30% of them will get PTSD.
How do you say 100%? How can you say 100% will get it?
Because all children will be affected by it, whether they overtly show it or not. They'll become irritable, they'll become hyperreactive, they will behave in a way which is not appropriate.
If they see it as in like even on TV type thing, or are you talking about as in like so?
And actually involved in that
episode
itself, yeah.
Okay.
So that's why there is so many times when you hear about school shooting, they dispatch a group of psychologists to go and talk to each kid, have a cognitive therapy, make them understand what happened, so that it can be quickly, completely resolved in their mind. If it is not resolved, it becomes like a frozen emotion, which is very difficult to move. Emotion is an energy which is moving. Energy in motion is an emotion. But when you become frozen, that means that energy has not been fully processed. Emotional release has not occurred. So if somebody slaps me, I need to immediately decide whether I'm going to fight or fly away from that, or I'm going to make a response or reaction, and then I'll say, well, I did something wrong, that's why he slapped me. Or he's just a bad guy. I resolve that situation and I don't get myself into that situation again. But that's a complete resolution. If I don't resolve it, and the problem with PTSD is that you cannot resolve it because it was a state of frozen activity at the time of stress. You are helpless, you are fearful, you are hopeless, and that frozen emotion is very difficult to move to release unless you actively do a cognitive therapy, that you experience that all over again in a cognitive therapy session, and then resolve it bit by bit by bit. So that is the cognitive therapy. As I said before, 27 to 40% different studies, the PTSD can be solved by medicine and cognitive therapy. So it is not an easy problem to solve. The longer you wait, the longer layers of story after story gets put together on top of that frozen emotion. So now you've got a story of why it happened, Sometimes people even think that they enjoyed that stressful situation because there are so many multiple emotions going on because people tell them, well, you were raped, maybe you enjoyed that rape. So they start having all these weird feelings around that incident because they have started making their judgment as to why this happened. Maybe I was bad, that's why it happened. Maybe I was dressed improperly, that's why it happened. So all this stuff starts to build up in their psyche, and it is even more and more and more difficult to break that emotion because you have to go through layer by layer by layer by cognitive therapy to resolve that situation.
Peeling back the onion.
Hmm?
Peeling back the onion.
Peeling back the onion, yes, exactly. So, body then reacts just like I told you. Energy, we talked about the energy layer is the part of us which is the animating force which runs our mind as well as the physical body. When that energy is trapped by this frozen emotion and on top of it all these stories which have developed around it, then very little energy is available for function of the mind and of the body. So they feel low energy. They feel that their body is not functioning properly because all the bodily functions require energy to work automatically. The breathing becomes very shallow because there is not enough energy available. So they only breathe in the upper part of the lung, and we talked about it the last time. So we'll talk about how to release that energy from that place. Mind is the part of us which has emotions and likes and dislikes. And again, this is the part which is connected to the external environment to bring the input from our senses, whether it is sight, sound, smell, taste, or emotions, or touch. And those emotions, those input through the external, through the senses also becomes impaired because we start having these hallucinations of different types of, whether it's auditory, visual, or gustatory hallucinations can start occurring because of the mind being totally confused and overactive from the hyperarousal state, which I just discussed. Intelligence is our layer of that ego we talked about last time, where our belief systems, our ideas, our thoughts, our concepts, our memory, all that is in that intelligence layer. And that starts to get affected because when the acute incident occurs, it destroys all our concepts of belief systems because we have a certain belief system how the world is supposed to work, and when that accident happens, all those belief systems are completely destroyed. They're dismantling of those belief systems, and therefore we start having problem in living in this life. So they avoid contact with other people, they become hypersensitive to what other people are saying, so they avoid talking to them. So their intelligence, their ability to discern between right and wrong becomes impaired. And all of this is because of their disconnect of the higher self from the mind and the body. So remember, we talked about that one of the things which we want to do is to have a integrated body, mind, and soul. The soul part is now dissociated or completely disconnected from their mind and body. So now they lose their perception of the body because of all this hyperarousal state. This produces a lot of opioids, so they do not have any feelings at the body level. Even if they're hurting, they don't feel it. And that leads to a state of they get disconnected from their body. They lose the sensations in their body. They disconnect from the mind because mind is now not working properly, and the soul is also not connected to the mind and body. So there is a complete disruption of the system. The idea is to create this integrated connection between mind, body, and soul. And that is what we are trying to do with medications, which in the acute phase of anxiety and depression may work, but medicines really don't work in this. We can use them for symptom relief, but unless it's accompanied with a cognitive therapy, medicines don't work. So medicines alone do not work. Now people are realizing that there's already a system available to take care of this, which is yoga and Ayurveda. Yoga is, what is the definition of yoga? Is union between mind, body, and soul. So we can use yogic principles to correct that disconnection. And a lot of people have made this into a specialty of their own, how to treat PTSD through yoga. So every layer is dealt with differently, but there is an integrated practice which helps in controlling this, which helping re-establishing the mind, body, and soul connection. Does that make sense? Any questions on this? Yes.
Are you going to talk about the Ayurveda part of this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So, yoga part is dealing with the all 5 layers. Ayurveda part is more about how to take care of the body. Okay? So, both yoga and Ayurveda work together. You cannot have one without other. You know, my teacher used to say that it's like 2 wings of a bird. You cannot fly with one wing, with yoga alone or Ayurveda alone. Because Ayurveda takes a person from anywhere they are, regardless of how many symptoms or how depressed or how anxious they are, they will take them from there and bring them into this integrated result. While yoga requires some kind of a practices and stuff like that, Ayurveda can bring it by use of certain herbs, by lifestyle, by discipline, from that place to a place of integration. So let's talk about Ayurveda first, because that is the important part of this. Ayurveda is the science which deals with creating an equilibrium, a homeostasis within your body in synchronization to the external environment. So it's matching the external environment to the internal environment. Let me put it differently. Everything you bring into the body comes from external environment, right? Every experience you have comes from the external environment, except for emotions. What you bring through the nose, through the ears, through eyes, through mouth, through skin. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch, what you eat. Those are the only experiences we bring into the body. Now, those experiences metabolized create my body. right? So Ayurveda says that at any given time, I am the end result of all my experiences metabolized in the past, right? Remember the word metabolize, that they have been metabolized. Emotions have to be metabolized too, which I was talking earlier, that the gestalt has to be complete. An emotion comes, processed, and leaves. In PTSD, emotion has come and has stayed. It has become frozen in time and space. It has not left. That is creating all the problems at the body level and at all the 5 layers we just discussed. So we need to learn how to metabolize that emotion. That is part of Ayurveda. So every input we have brought into the body, metabolized in the past, has resulted in this body. If I don't like my body right now, bring different experiences. Or metabolize them differently. I'll create a new body. So body is always changing. Body is not static. You know, if you don't believe in reincarnation, from the time you came in, you have had 10 to the power of 16 atoms enter your body with every breath. And 10 to the power of 16 atoms came out of your breath. So you brought new material and you exhaled old material. So you're new. Every breath you take, you're created new. There's a reincarnation. Okay? We don't have to go into the theories of reincarnation. Your body is constantly changing. All the 3 trillion cells in your body are in constant state of exchange from the external environment, either through sight, sound, smells, taste, or touch. So these, actually 98% of our cells are regenerated every couple of years. It's not the same person which you were before. It is your memories which keep you creating the same person. It's your inputs which keep creating the same person. But we have different inputs, we can create a different person. That is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is how to bring different experiences, metabolize them differently, and create a new body. Through lifestyle, diet, and herbs, and detoxification. Those are the 4 ways Ayurveda works. That we have a different lifestyle. Lifestyle means what kind of exercise we should do, what kind of stress reduction techniques we should do, what kind of discipline we should have daily, what kind of discipline we should have on a seasonal basis. Then diet, what kind of diet, what kind of diet changes according to the season, and then herbs to supplement those 2 things so that we can create that balance within the body. The end result is that we create a body which has a state of immunity which is stronger than the bacteria outside, than the parasites outside, than the carcinogens outside. That you don't get affected because your immunity is stronger than anything which is present outside of your body. So that is what is Ayurveda. So here in this application, we will talk to them about a daily routine. So what is a daily routine? Remember, anytime you are in a state of influx, anxiety, depression, your routine will change completely. And daily routine is one of the contributions of Ayurveda, that what time we should get up, what time we should do what in the morning. So we talk about, you get up, you go to the bathroom, you brush your teeth, you scrape your tongue to see if there is any coating on the tongue. If there is a coating, that means your digestion is not good and we need to look at the digestion. because digestion, metabolism is number one in Ayurveda. You can bring different inputs. If your metabolism is not good, no good. You have to have different experiences metabolize in the present. So metabolism is very important. How is your digestion? And one of the biggest things for input we bring is the food. So if your digestion is not good, you will have a coating on your tongue in the morning because you have not digested the food which you ate yesterday. That's the easiest way of looking at it. There are tongue cleaners available at Amazon, and you scrape it and you see that scraping, if it is a thick coating, that means your digestion is not good. So get up, clean your teeth, clean your tongue, then do oil pulling. Oil pulling is one of the ways to remove toxins from the mouth and tongue and teeth area. It is also good for preventing cavities, it's also good for a lot of other things. But right now, we'll concentrate on improving the digestion. It improves the taste buds. Then we do meditation, and we'll be talking about the meditation as a yoga practice. We'll do breathing techniques, which is also yoga practice we'll talk about. We'll do asanas or the postures. So we'll talk about that in yoga also. So there are 8 limbs of yoga, which starts with do's and don'ts, yama, niyama, asana, which is postures, pranayama, which is breathing, dharana, dharana, and samadhi. So you are doing all those practices in the morning. So yoga practices are very important in the morning. After meditation, we have breakfast. And breakfast, there are certain do's and don'ts on that. I mean, it is not a right format to discuss all about diet and other things. But I have found, I worked with a lot of people with PTSD and substance abuses, that their dopamine in the brain is low. That is why they get addicted to different substances, because it has been so much used during that stressful episode that now the dopamine manufacturing is less. And they take heroin or pain medicine or alcohol, which also increases the dopamine in the brain. That makes them feel good. We can do that by diet. So there are certain food products, seeds especially, like chia seeds or hemp seeds or flax seeds, or certain spices, they can all increase dopamine in the brain. So we use that to give them breakfast. In our center, we give them a special oatmeal with all these seeds and spices, and they feel good for 4 or 5 hours just after eating oatmeal, because it has increased the dopamine in the brain. So that is a way to do it. Then, according to their constitution, in Ayurveda we talk about constitutions. Everybody has a different constitution based on their amount of different energies in their body. There are 3 energies which are basic energies. One is based in the element of air, which is called Vata, V-A-T-A. The second is based in fire, which is called Pitta, P-I-T-T-A. And third is based in water, which is called Kapha, K-A-P-H-A. So we have 5 elements in the universe. Everything in the universe is made up of 5 elements, including stars, galaxies, earth, tree, flowers, fruits, me, animals. Everybody is made up of the same 5 elements. We recirculate these 5 elements. Other animals, other trees discard it. We take it. We discard it. They take it. It's a circle of life. Those 5 elements, depending on how much of those elements are present in our body, there are 3 energies. One is based in air and space. Second is in water. fire, third is in water and earth. And that defines the constitution of the person. Speaking in modern medicine, we'll call this phenotype. These are the genes which are expressed in a person based on their parental genes. So a blue eye is a blonde hair is a certain gene which is expressed in their physical body. So these three energies, depending on how much they are, creates our individual constitution. So we could be a Vata constitution, Pitta constitution, or Kapha constitution. Their diets are based on their constitution. So everything in Ayurveda is based on their constitution. What kind of lifestyle, what kind of diet, what kind of herbs, what kind of detoxification we need to give them is all based on these three principles of three personality types or three phenotypes. Again, it's a very vast topic. We can discuss that. You can attend our Ayurvedic educators course, which is starting in January, which is a one-year course of making you an Ayurvedic educator. So it's a very vast science, but we can use portions of that science to develop a daily and seasonal routine for these people, so that we can tell them, okay, take this kind of breakfast, this kind of lunch, this kind of dinner, which will be based on what they need. The minerals, the vitamins are deficient in these people. And I don't like to give them supplements. I like to give them foods which have those supplements already. Nature has already packaged them in the food. So we develop a diet plan for them based on their constitution.
And how do you determine the constitution to pick those foods?
Okay, that is determined by a questionnaire and by pulse examination. So we do pulse examination because these energies are flowing throughout the system, and we can measure them at the pulse level.
It's crazy. I've had it done.
So there are 7 layers of pulse examination. It's a very complicated thing, but we can determine that constitution. I can determine it mostly on looking at people as to what their constitution is.
So if your pulse is on the higher side, you'd be the Vata. And
No, it's not that.
It's so
Different pulse, different Vata pulse, different Pitta pulse, different Kapha pulse. There are 3 separate pulses.
Based on what? Like, what are the readings on the pulse? Just out of curiosity. Like
Okay, so there are 3 pulses at different levels of the pulse, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and you measure the superficial layer, the deep layer, and then you determine what kind of constitution they have, how much of Vata, how much of Pitta, how much of Kapha, because everybody has all 3.
Right.
It's which one is higher, and then what kind of imbalance is present. You can determine that. So what are you trying to correct? The diet will be based on that kind of constitution of the person. So again, it's a very involved thing. We can sometimes talk about Ayurveda itself, and we can talk about these things.
I accidentally ran into it while I was in Nepal. Like, I didn't even know what Ayurvedic medicine was, but I was taking my yoga training and stuff, and I met someone at my hostel that was actually there becoming, he's from Australia, so he introduced me to his teacher in Nepal, and I just went there. He's like, just come with me, like, I need to bring someone with. And then I actually spoke with the doctor. Like, I usually pass out as soon as I see a bench or anything. I went in and sort of had a panic attack, and he took me in, like, just went like this and literally told me my whole life story without me even talking. And I was like, you're a witch. Like, it was really weird, but it was kind of like spot on for like the digestive problems I was having. Like, he said some things like that were so true, but I still am like working through them. Like, oh, you worry all the time, but you don't know why you're worrying. And I was like, no one's like, how could a psychiatrist like no one's even said it. That's like spot on. Like, I didn't even know. I couldn't even word it that way.
He was an Ayurvedic doctor.
Yeah, he was a really old Ayurvedic doctor in Nepal. He was a teacher, and he's been doing it since he was like 8 or 9.
It takes almost a lifetime to
Yeah.
learn Ayurveda.
Crazy.
So anyway, so we develop a daily routine which gives them a discipline of what to do at what time. That is very important for people with PTSD and not as much as with stress disorder, but PTSD. Okay, so diet is determined based on that. So daily routine, seasonal routine, and then the herbs are given based on what their symptoms are, whether they are getting modern medicine treatment also. So you don't want to conflict your treatments. It's an integrative approach. You are using it as an additional approach to the modern medicine, or you are using it as a sole Ayurvedic approach. The medicines, herbs will depend on that, because we have herbs for all kind of anxiety, depression, and other things. So again, we work in a coordinated fashion. You know, if somebody is getting antidepressant, I don't want to give any herbs which will also do the same thing. I'll use my other practices of yoga to bring him out of depression. You know, and yeah, we can do that. Any other question? So let's continue to move forward, because we don't have that much time. I want to have a lot of experiential stuff done. So in the breathing techniques, there are two techniques which I'm going to talk about in the breathing today, which will benefit people with PTSD. That disconnect between the mind body is corrected by this practice. It's called pranayama. So what we learned last week was a three-part breath. A three-part breath is the basic pranayama practice. But actual pranayama, the definition is that you are expanding the prana. Remember that energy or prana is depleted. So you are expanding the prana. And expansion occurs through the breathing techniques. So we are going to talk about a breathing technique called alternate nostril breathing, or anulom vilom. So alternate nostril breathing or anulom vilom. And the third practice we will talk about is Kapalabhati, which is forceful exhalation. So again, all of these are to expand the lungs and improve the oxygenation in the body and bring that connection between mind and body intact. Meditation is to bring all three in integration. Pranayama is to bring mind and body into coordination. So I sometimes call it neuromuscular coordination or neurorespiratory coordination, which is pranayama. Neurorespiratory coordination is pranayama in modern medicine. So these are very powerful techniques, and let us talk about how we do that, because I want you to have the experiential part of this practice. So anulom vilom or alternate nostril breathing is done by sitting up straight so that your spine is straight. Your feet are on the ground. You can do it in any position. You can sit in a chair, you can sit on the floor, you can sit against the wall, as long as you're in a comfortable situation. We close our right nostril with the thumb, but gently. They're not pushing it, just gently close it so that there's no air breathing through that. And we breathe in through the left nostril. Close the left nostril and breathe out slowly through the right nostril. Again, taking longer to breathe out than you did to breathe in. Breathe in through the right nostril. Close the right nostril. and breathe out slowly through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Close the left nostril and breathe out through the right nostril. Slowly, taking twice as long to breathe out as you did to breathe in. Breathe in through the right nostril. Close the right nostril and breathe out slowly through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Close the left nostril and breathe out slowly through the right nostril. Breathe in through the right nostril. Close the right nostril and breathe out slowly through the left nostril. Breathe in through the left nostril. Close the left nostril and breathe out slowly through the right nostril. Breathe in through the right nostril. Close the right nostril and breathe out slowly through the left nostril. Now breathe normally. Open your eyes. What did you feel?
Very relaxed.
Very relaxed. Why? So let's talk about why you relax. There are multiple benefits of this breathing. The prana or chi is located at the base of the spine. From the base of the spine, it rises through the chakra system in a fashion, left crossing at each chakra. These are all chakras. Incidentally, that is this sign for medicine. And medicine sign is same thing, because ancient systems were all based on energy management. Even Hippocrates, that we have based modern medicine on Hippocrates, who also believed in energy medicine. But modern medicine has stopped doing that because they said, well, we can measure energy, so it is not existent. So anything which they cannot see is not there. So these two energies, one is sympathetic and one is parasympathetic. So the left side of the nostril is parasympathetic, the right side is sympathetic. This is Ida and Pingala, again name doesn't matter. These go to the brain and they balance the left and right side of the brain. The left side which is the parasympathetic, balances the right side of the brain because of this crossing over.
Say that again. So the right side,
Left side balances the right side of the brain.
left side.
And the left side, right side of the nostril balances the left side of the brain,
But so
which is sympathetic.
so what the right nose is for sympathetic.
Right is sympathetic, left is parasympathetic. We call it lunar energy and solar energy.
Left.
Okay? Most of the people in a stressful situation will have an imbalance in lunar and solar part of their energy. When we do alternate nostril breathing, we are balancing the left and right hemisphere of the brain. Their solar and lunar energy, sympathetic and parasympathetic system. Remember, that was the one which caused all the problems with a cascade of neurotransmitters, epinephrine, norepinephrine, all those were done by sympathetic nervous system hyperactivity. So most of the people with PTSD will have a very high state of sympathetic nervous system.
So with that, since you said since you said our right nostril controls our sympathetic nervous system, if we were to say just close, because I do this a lot, I practice different things. If I was just to close my left and keep my right open for the if I just breathe like this, would that almost cause, that heightened sense of
Yes.
okay.
So if you are depressed, you just do right
Close your
side
left
breathing.
and just say right side.
That is called Surya Veda. It's a name for that breathing technique. Again, we are not going to go into details of that. The Chandra Veda is left side, or the lunar energy, which is calming. So if you just want to calm, you just do left side breathing. You don't even have to do right side. But our goal is not to have one over another. So we want to do both. This is what is going to cause a balance in left and right side of the brain. Balance in lunar and the solar. Balance in sympathetic and parasympathetic. That is what we want. We don't want these people to become sleepy just by doing left nostril breathing, or become depressed by doing, other side of breathing. We want them to be balanced. And balance is what is required in these people. So alternate nostril breathing, Anulom Vilom, is one of the very important breathing techniques for these clients. We want them to do it for 10 minutes, 4 to 5 times in a day. It can be done anytime. You can just sit around, it doesn't require any equipment. You can sit in a corner, have a calm, quiet room, and go and do it for 10 minutes. If you are in a stressful situation, prevent the stress by doing this for 3-4 minutes and then going out and taking care of the problem. This is a preventive as well as curative. It's a very, very important breath. There are a lot of scientific studies done on this breath, and it is probably one of the most beneficial breaths you can come across. A lot of your diseases can be prevented by doing alternate nostril breathing 4 or 5 times a day. Okay. So 3-part breathing. The second one is alternate nostril breathing. The third breath is a nadi shodhana, or detoxification of the toxins in the mind and body, which is a little more complicated breath, but I will do a demonstration. I don't expect you to become perfect in it. I want you to just experience it. You don't have to do it yourself, because you need to do the alternate nostril breathing for a month before you can start on the Kapalabhati, or the forceful exhalation, because that is very energetic in nature and very detoxifying. So the breath would be something like this. I take a deep breath in, and then I forcefully exhale and inhalation is passive. Exhalation is active. Remember, if both were active, that will be hyperventilation. So I want to do one active and one passive, and I keep doing it till I exhaust my energy, and then there will be a period of spontaneous cessation of breath because I have expelled all the carbon dioxide from my body, and the stimulus for breathing is level of carbon dioxide in the body. So when I have done that, I don't have any need for breath. So that is called spontaneous cessation of breath, which is total quietness of the mind. I do it for meditation.
Say that one time, spontaneous what?
Cessation.
Okay, spontaneous sensation of breath.
Cessation. C-E-S-S-A-T-I-O-N. Cessation. So breath is completely gone. For a period of 20-30 seconds, you don't have to breathe because your carbon dioxide level is so low and your oxygen level is very high. So it will look something like this. So we do 3 rounds of this, and we do it only twice a day, morning and lunchtime. Don't do it in the evening because it stimulates the reticular system in the brain, so that you will not be able to sleep if you do too many times. So those are the breathing techniques we use in these times. It helps in synchronizing the mind and the body.
Have you ever, is there a certain point you should stop? Because I like that breath work. I like that pranayama breathing technique. I usually like put a hand on here to feel your stomach, try to go towards the back of your spine and stuff. Is there a point where should you just go as long as you can, or should you try to only go for a couple
There
minutes?
should be no struggle.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, is it, because it's like
We
working.
don't force anything in this.
But I'm just saying that there should be no time limit on it.
There's no time.
Okay, good, that's okay.
As long as there's no forcing.
Yeah,
Okay. And again, with your constitution, you don't want to do it too rapidly. You want to do it a little slower because you can increase your vata. by doing it rapidly.
You can increase what?
Your vata.
Oh, about that, yeah, okay. Yeah. Alright.
And then we also work at the mind level and at the level of the intellect by a technique called emotional release. It's a 7-step technique. I don't have time to go through that, but I will send that to you. If you leave your emails, I'll send it to you, a MP3 where I'm talking and you can follow through. So these are the mind, energy and intelligence techniques. Now next in the line is how do we integrate the higher self into our mind and body level. So Michelle is going to take over now, and she's going to do some warming up exercises just to wake up the body, and then take you into a short yoga nidra practice, which is a passive meditation technique.
Do we need mats?
Okay?
When is your next yoga nidra here?
Next Wednesday at 5:30.
Okay, I'll be here. I was literally wanting to do it, and I know something happened like last week or something where I wasn't able to. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I've
only done yoga nidra like once or twice, but it really was profound for like the experience.
I was doing an airport run, so yeah.
No, totally understand. But, yeah.